to see, I think there's an unknown factor involved. I don't know what it is, but I think the pigeons are somehow linked to their home. To see, I think there's an unknown factor involved. I don't know what it is, but I think the pigeons are somehow linked to their home. So whereas all previous experiments involve moving the pigeons from their home, my experiment involves moving the home from the pigeons. Hence I have a mobile pigeon loft. And so you can train pigeons to move to a mobile loft. It was done in the First World War with the British Pigeon Corps. It had mobile lofts behind the front line. There's another thing Colonel Osmond's book enlightens one about. They were converted London buses. The Japanese had them in the Second World War. I have a fascinating book about the Japanese Pigeon Corps in the Second World War, showing wonderfully a Japanese mobile loft somewhere in Manchuria with sort of pointy ends to it. Oriental pigeon loft. But if you move a pigeon, if you move their home, the first time you do it, you move it just 100 yards. And the pigeons are totally confused. Even though they can see the loft, they fly around the place where it was for several hours before a brave one goes in, just as we would if we went home and found our home had moved 100 yards down the street. We wouldn't just open the door. Yes.
Under any circumstances.
But after a while, after you've done this 3 or 4 times, you can get them to home. And I've trained these pigeons up to the point where the loft can be moved 4 or 5 miles. And you go back, you take them out, put them in a box, you tow the loft away, you go back to the first point, you open the box, release the pigeons, drive back to see when they arrive, and they're sitting on the roof. Well, so far there's no mystery. This is an area where they could do it by perfectly normal means, fly up in the air, see it. The crucial experiment, I'm sorry to say, I haven't yet done, because the person I did it with who feeds them and has contracted a disease called pigeon lung, which means he can't go in the pigeon loft anymore. It's like asbestosis. And so I'm sorry to say this is an unended saga, but here is a perfectly reasonable experiment. I think the chances of it working are only about 1 in 10, because I think you may need to move more of the home than just the loft, even though I leave half the pigeons in it. But a mobile island, a floating island, or a ship would give one the capacity for moving more of the home. It's an area potentially open to empirical testing. The budget for this experiment so far has been £500. Not very much. This is a poor man's sport, and so one doesn't need big grants for this kind of work. Here is a real mystery, and you'll find people who'll tell you it isn't a mystery, but anyone who actually works in the field and who knows the literature, and I've gone into this quite recently in quite a lot of depth, and it's completely unsolved. And so we have this pigeon homing, the homing of dogs and cats, the migration of fish, huge tracts of animal behavior, which have big implications for the evolution of migratory pathways, which can evolve quite rapidly, and so on. Large areas are unsolved, and these could have a great deal of relevance to the understanding of faculties of various kinds that we haven't taken into account. This is one example. I have quite a number of others.
When you say this is a real mystery, Do you mean this is a real problem?
I mean it's a real problem. A mystery is something we don't understand. I don't think it's something we can't in principle understand.
No, a mystery is something which cannot in principle be understood, whereas a problem in principle can be.
Oh, well, I think in that sense, if you use the word mystery, I mean a problem.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't be doing research on this if I didn't think it